ViewTube, a Brannon House television network.
The Tamara Scott Show. Tamara has served as the state director for one of America's largest pro-life, pro-family public policy organizations. In 2007, Tamara was named one of America's top 10 most influential kingmakers by the Religion News Association. Tamara has spent years proclaiming and defending the values of a Christian worldview that is the foundation of our constitutional republic. And now, here is your host, Tamara Scott.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am Tamara Scott. This is the Tamara Scott Show, where we help you live God's Word in today's world when the headlines hit home. No matter what it is, if God expects you to live through it, He's directed you how to do it somewhere in His Word. And so we just try to keep you focused. Yes, we talk about the headlines without getting caught up in them. We learned, if nothing else, in 2020, that those, whoever they are, if they can keep you uncertain, if they can keep you fearful, if they can keep you anxious and wavering, then they can make you vulnerable and malleable. So don't be distracted by that. Know it, be aware of it, so you know how to pray and how to protect your family. But keep focused on the plan God's given you, the direction He shows you. And I promise you, when you pray for that, if you're in His Word, you will hear His voice. You will hear His direction. I asked someone, how do you know? And they said, get in His Word. Take time out with Him. Pray. Maybe fast. Put it before Him. A lot of times we just don't do that. We want the door to open quick. And a lot of times we don't even want to work at things. We want to be delivered or healed when it's a discipline issue. And we just have to die to ourselves, like John tells us to do. All right, I want to get right to it. Great guest today. I am so pleased to reconnect with Dr. Joel Brend. He was very instrumental in bringing the risks, the correlations of breast cancer and abortion clear back. I think I learned of him in 2002. I think I interviewed him from 2001, 2002 up to 2006. Then I changed studios. Then I lost my book with all my contacts. I lost contact to him. This was back in the day when we really didn't have the internet so accessible and finding each other so accessible. So I'm so pleased. We'll bring him on in just a moment. Before we do, weekend events, the headlines we talk about. Let's pop to the first one there, the video of our astronaut from NASA. Can we just play that quick video?
When this started on April 3rd, I wanted to thank God in public, and I want to thank God again, because even bigger than my challenge trying to describe what we went through, the gratitude of seeing what we saw, doing what we did, and being with who I was with, it's too big to just be in one body.
That was an Instagram post. That is Victor Glover speaking, one of the astronauts on the mission. I'm not going to get into what you think of the mission, whether you think it was, tinfoil hat, or whether you think it was successful, accurate. His words, his faith, I believe, are true. And how exciting it is. As Tara Bull said last week, we have people praising God from outer space. We have people praising God from the highest levels of our cabinet, our Secretary of War. We have people praising God in the lower levels of government. We have people praising God in education. I think we'd use more praising God in our churches, by the way. Not just praising Him, but actually following His precepts and taking those outside the doors. But I just thought that was a positive. I think we need to just allow the positive every so often. All right, let's go to the next links. These can get kind of hairy, but let's go to the next links. There are several. Okay, so that's the completely empty tankers heading to the U.S. to load up with oil and gas. All right, so when this whole mess started, right, and everybody questioned, does Trump even know what he's doing? Does he even have a plan? And people doubted it. They weren't sure. This is from Channel 6 CBS News. And so it's just saying that the president, Donald Trump, walks toward the reporters and he's answering questions, but he's now touting that tankers are coming to our Gulf of America, by the way, not Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. Was he strategic in the renaming of that before we started any of this? I don't know. As I said, I think his keeping people guessing, his strategy, people say he doesn't have a strategy. I think that is his strategy, is making you think he doesn't have a strategy. I think behind the eight ball, I think he's got a lot of it planned ahead of time. So his tweet that went out 2 days ago: massive numbers of completely empty oil tankers, some of the largest anywhere in the world, are heading right here, right now, to the United States to load up the best and sweetest oil and gas anywhere in the world. Trump wrote on Truth Social early Saturday morning: we have more oil than the next two largest oil economies combined, and the higher quality. We are waiting for you. Quick turnaround, he added. So, if I were an Iranian official, thank heavens I'm not anywhere near. And to our friends who are from Iran, my heart, we get, you love your country. But I don't think they can outthink Trump. I just don't think so. They can't outplay him. It's got to be frustrating. It's got to be frustrating. Oh, let's go to the next link.
Getting a lot of reports. They've been meeting for many hours, as you probably have noticed. We'll see what happens. Look, regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally defeated that country. And so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't. From the standpoint of America, we win. One other thing that's happening is that boats are sailing up and heading out to our country. Big, beautiful tankers, and we're loading them up with oil and gas and everything else. And pretty beautiful thing to see. Getting a lot of reports. They've been meeting for many hours, as you probably have noticed. We'll see what happens. Look, regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally.
I think we've got the idea. That was Saturday, the 11th. Now, if you want to go to the link from CBS News, number 4, this was just today at 12:23 Eastern Time. Thank you. You did such a nice job, Thomas. The U.S. blockade of Iran's ports and partial blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for shipments of oil, fertilizer, and other vital goods, began at 10 a.m. Eastern Daily Time. Iran warned it would retaliate. Listen, folks, retaliate or just hit. They don't need a reason to retaliate. They've started this for 47 years. They have taken shots at our country and every other country. So don't even let the mainstream media make you think that Trump has caused something here. Even if we had a ceasefire, they had proven with the Hezbollah, I believe it was, out of Lebanon, still firing on Israel, being one of their, what do we call them, proxies. So don't take the bait. This is not a retaliation. They're always looking for a way to shoot, to harm, to cause destruction. The threats follow the failure of talks in Islamabad over the weekend. So yes, it didn't go well. Nothing was settled between the U.S. and Iran, with Pakistan mediators, Vice President J.D. Vance, who headed up the U.S. delegation. So the main sticking point came down to Iran refusing to give up its nuclear ambitions. That ought to tell you all something. It's not about energy. It's not about energy. So that ought to tell you quite a bit. And I'm so thankful for a president that is sticking to the line. Whether it was Obama drawing a line in the sand that turned out to be not a red line, but a pink line in the sand. Whether it was Obama giving, what was it, $1.7 billion in cash on the tarmac. Whether it was Biden just foolishly letting anything happen. CBS News has learned that Pakistan is pushing to get the U.S. and Iran to resume negotiations in an effort to get a peace accord between the current ceasefire that runs out next week. All right. Now, we'll get to our guest, Dr. Joel Bren. I am so happy to be able to bring him back on to us. We'll have a couple minutes before we go to break. As I said, he is, if I say this correctly, a professor. He said it to me before we came on air today. I'm a professor teaching science to non-science students in a way that they can understand. And he had me understanding it. So he must be very good at what he did. Dr. Joel Bren, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me on again after all these years. You know, technically I'm retired. I'm emeritus professor of biology and endocrinology at Baruch College, City University of New York, which is where most of my students over the years were non-science majors. So hopefully I will practice those skills, and those of you who are not familiar with science, will be able to follow the simple way that I actually understand it.
Absolutely. And so we'll tell our viewers that you're coming out of retirement to be on the Tamara Scott Show. I like that. Sounds impressive.
Oh no, my career is just beginning as a media
There you go.
personality. My goodness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that too. And to all of our viewers, I don't think there's anything such thing as retirement this side of heaven. There's no
The
way that
Bible
you guys,
doesn't say anything about retirement, does it?
it does
Nope.
not. It says
Word is
stay
not in
busy.
there.
Stay
No,
busy and occupy. You've got a role to
absolutely.
do. If God's got you here on earth, He's still got work for you to do while you're here. All right. So, Dr. Bren, boy, where do we start? As I said, you were very okay. I know maybe where we should start. And you've got a book out on another topic. Do you want to just let our viewers know about that? The Glycine
Oh,
Miracle?
I got a couple of books out. Actually, one of them, I mean, I can hold on. I can even hold it up in a second. Um,
And we've got the Glycine Miracle we can pop up on the screen. That's the number 5, Thomas. There you
See
go.
now, this is certainly visual dead air, right? I don't want to do that.
Well, we've got
Oh,
your
you got
Glycine.
that. There you go.
Yeah.
That's one. I
All
didn't
right. There's
realize you
one.
had that. I was going to go scramble for a physical copy, but if you scroll down, you'll see my other book there, What is Life?
Okay, so
Um,
okay, so Thomas, can you scroll down on that same link and see the other book that's What is Life? Okay. Oh, okay. We took a screenshot, so we've got to go back and find the link.
oh, okay. Well,
So
here's
what
the
is,
other
oh,
book,
there you go. You're holding it up. Very good. What is life?
What is Life?
Now, when
And
did you write
that's
that one?
both of them I actually wrote at the end of 2024. So they're
When,
still pretty recent, about a year and a half ago, I
okay.
published them. And the
Oh,
What is Life is actually really like my first 1 hour lecture to my non-science majors students, which is basically an introduction to biology. It's not the kind of introduction that you usually get in a university, private or public, because it's from a God-centered point of view. Because God is the one who created the universe, but they don't believe that. So you get all
absolutely.
kinds of, what they call it Darwinism. I call it mindless evolutionism. That's
All
what
right.
they
So
teach.
let us go to break. We come back. You can explain that to our
All
viewers.
right.
And I have a question for you to ponder while we're gone. The way you explain science to non-science majors, would that make your work? I think I think if I were still homeschooling my kids, your work would be excellent to bring in for them. You can think about the answer to that, and we'll be right back with Dr. Joel Brind after this message. I need to tell you about our Bella Grace. This slender little sachet has the elixir with the collagen, astaxanthin, and cat's claw. In 2022, got an award for helping with cognitive function, and in 2023, in the sports arena for active ingredients, nutrition, and format. But the best is what we hear from so many of you. You have noticed better joint health, improved mobility, less eye strain and fatigue, helping with computer vision syndrome, visual acuity, depth perception, alleviating dry eyes, but also helping with your immunity, your stress management, endurance, um, less fatigue overall, not just eye fatigue, muscle recovery, mental clarity, focus, and gut health. Then there's the fun list. The firmer, smoother skin texture, fewer fine lines and wrinkles, improved skin elasticity, decreased age spots, more even skin tone, improved skin hydration, reduced oxidative stress, healthier nails, less cellulite, hair health, better sleep. Who wouldn't want any of those? Call them beauty in items if you wish, but who doesn't want to feel a little bit better or more confident when you're going to present in the public square, when you're going to speak at a city council? And who just doesn't want to feel a little healthier? Maybe they're just byproducts of being healthier. More information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com, tamara.bellagraceglobal.com. All right. Dr. Joel Brind is my guest. We'll get back right to him And doctor, I gave you time to think about your
Well,
answer
actually,
while
I was listening to your commercial. That's a collagen product you have, right?
yeah, it
It's
is.
an edible collagen product.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what I
well, I
love
see
about
most of the scientific work that I've done over the last 15 years has to do with the amino acid glycine. And the best natural source of it is da 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 collagen.
oh,
So,
excellent.
and all of those health benefits that you mentioned are really attributable to that amino acid, which most people are deficient in. But if you eat more collagen, collagen byproducts, all that stuff you're advertising, every single claim you had is actually attributable to the main component of what's in that nutrient. So it ain't BS, it's real.
Wow, to all of our viewers, I need to put that on the commercial, doctor. That's very good coming from you.
Yeah.
You did not know I did this
I had
product.
no idea. Never heard
A
of that
friend,
product, but I know about collagen, and
yep.
that's where you get your glycine in the diet for the most part. So it's
And the
certainly
collagen that's in this packet is one of the most tested, I believe. It's Verisol collagen. This is not something I've studied at all. A friend that I trusted. I'll tell you what, I had
Mhm.
prayed one day, Lord, I need to find something to help the show a little bit financially. She called me the next day. The packaging matches another group that I work with. I felt like that was also something that was a confirmation. And then she started talking to me about it. I had tried collagens. My husband drinks collagen every morning in his coffee. I don't like coffee. I'm not a great hot beverage drinker. You mix it up, it clumps up, it smells like wet socks. I just never finished the cup. This tastes like berries. You keep it in your car, your fridge, wherever you are in the studio. I keep it on the run when I travel. I don't have to worry about a jar or a bottle or powder. I just take the packets, what I take, then I rip it, sip it, flip it in the trash, and I'm done. It keeps me on schedule because of the convenience. So that's how I started this product. So I'm so pleased to hear your approval on it, doctor.
yeah, and really any collagen product, as long as it is in a form that's actually digestible, so that you can absorb the amino acids from the collagen, that will do it.
Yeah,
And I think people don't really understand how much you need. It's one of those things. That's what the book that you showed, The Glycine Miracle, really the main thesis there is that most people are actually deficient because, eating habits have changed. I don't care what culture you come from. Your grandma did not make soup and throw the bones in the trash. She
right.
threw them in the soup whenever you ate any kind of meat, fish, or poultry. And that's the big mistake because the collagen is in the bones and the connective tissues. It's the stuff we usually throw away when we eat meat, fish, and poultry. That's why bone broth is a big craze and getting bigger, for years and years. It won't go away because that's bone broth it's collagen. So some people get it from bone broth, some people get it from your collagen product. There are others too. And if it's a good digestible form that's, easy to take and all of that, it makes a big difference. And it's
Yeah.
not like you're supplementing with something to give you an extra boost over ordinary nutrition. It's what ordinary nutrition's supposed to have in it. So it's filling in a hole that's missing. That's why you're feeling aches and pains and difficult sleep and all of these other things tend to be due to a lack of the amino acids that you find in collagen. So
Wow.
it's a good, I don't
Brilliant.
want to do commercials for you. I've got something else to talk about that you originally
Thanks,
called me
right?
for.
Right. But
But
to our viewers, you can find more information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com. Tamara.bellagraceglobal.com. We've had other doctors on the program who said the liquid collagen is better as far as your system, that the powder
being
doesn't
able to
always.
absorb it, yes, yeah, being able to digest it and absorb it, that's the main
Yeah.
thing. Mhm.
Excellent. All right. We'll see if you like my next products that we offer. All right. So I wanted to talk to you. Now, I'll let you take it wherever you want. I was going to ask you about, of course, we want to talk about the correlation between breast cancer and abortion at some point, maybe not even today. But I was going to ask you about hormones, contraceptives being pushed on our girls, sometimes 15, 14 years old. And now politicians, good conservative politicians, are pushing over the counter hormonal contraceptives, which we know have carcinogens, risks of cancer, and they're doing it without a doctor's care. And so I believe the cancer risks go up in the first 2 years, and some of these girls are young enough that they wouldn't probably know what to watch for or how to get themselves care. Do you mind, doctor, if we talk about the hormonal birth control issue?
Oh, I'm still active in research on that matter also. I'm part of the contraceptive research group, a group of us faith-based scientists who have been challenging the FDA's approval on this. For example, Depo-Provera, one of the ones which is less popular in this country and more popular overseas, we're trying to get the FDA to take it off the market because that increases the risk of contracting AIDS. HIV transmission, and it's the only one of those contraceptives that does that. And they don't even want to they don't want to take it off the market. There's no reason that should even be on the market. But the mainstream main formulations of what they call hormonal contraception. By the way, I kind of object to the name hormonal contraception because they're really not hormones and they're not contraceptives. You know, they're not hormones, they're artificial steroid drugs. They're synthetic steroid drugs. That's what the pill is. It's
Right,
much more serious medicine for people who aren't even sick.
right,
So that should be known. They're not hormones. And they're also not really contraceptives. They are anti-fertility drugs. A contraceptive is something that by definition would block the meeting of sperm and egg in order to produce conception. This doesn't do it. This shuts down. The main mechanism is to shut down a woman's ability to produce a viable egg. And therefore, it's really an anti-fertility medication. So these are synthetic steroid anti-fertility drugs. Doesn't that sound a little more ominous and dangerous than hormonal contraception? Well, it is, because that's what they are. But even worse than that, from an individual standpoint, we now talk about the difficulty with men's testosterone and overall fertility has been declining now for several decades. The main culprit, oh, it's environmental estrogens, it's endocrine disruptors in the environment, it's BPA from the water you drink, it's this, it's that, it's everything else, everything, anything, but what the real worst culprit is, and that is a compound called 17-alpha ethinyl estradiol, otherwise known as EE2. It is the estrogen component of every combination hormonal, quote, contraceptive that's there on the market. And what you have had now for several decades, actually, they started selling these things in 1960 in the West, and more in recent decades, they've been, using them around the world. They have found now for decades that downstream of every major metropolitan area around the world, they have feminized fish and feminized seafood, clams and, seafood that lives at the bottom of the sea and also in the groundwater, in the drinking water. 17-alpha ethinyl estradiol. Now you wonder, how do you get rid of that? Can't they just take it out of the birth control formulations? Well, it's not such an easy thing to do, and here's why. Among hormones, the most potent of all the hormones that our actual bodies make is estradiol, the main estrogen. And to give you an idea of how potent it is, the concentration of estradiol in a woman's body when it is at its peak, when you're not pregnant, but it's at its peak in the so-called pre-ovulatory peak right before you ovulate, that level is 300 parts per trillion. We talk about pollutants in parts per million and parts per billion, but estradiol is active at 20, 30 at its low part of the cycle, parts per trillion. It is the most potent. Now, to take it synthetically, you need to have it even more potent. Why? Because 17-alpha ethinyl estradiol, the component that they put in the birth control pills, is actually synthetically modified so that your liver cannot digest it. Because what happens when you take anything by mouth and it's absorbed in your intestines, the first place it goes is your liver, not your general circulation, because it's your liver's job to break it up and get rid of it and detoxify it before it gets into your general bloodstream. So if they just gave you, even though that's potent, estradiol, the natural hormone, it wouldn't work as a birth control pill because active enough concentrations wouldn't even get into your circulation. So they need to make a synthetic steroid that's as active, but that is mainly non-biodegradable. So most of it actually comes out into the environment unchanged, just as potent as it was when you took the pill. Now you multiply that by hundreds of millions of women worldwide taking it every day. Now you have a problem environmentally. Now we have a problem with fertility overall in the country and in the world. And this is in addition to all of the health claims we have published in the Clinical Quarterly, the peer-reviewed publication of the Catholic Medical Association's Contraceptive Research Group. We have published our findings on all of the health consequences of these contraceptives, and we're publishing some more of them, and in the process of submitting more citizens petitions to the FDA to get these things more warnings, more restrictions, and for some of them, like Depo-Provera, get it right out off the market altogether. So I'm glad you asked. It's one of those
I am
things that I'm
too.
involved in.
I am too, because um, Thomas, I sent you another link when he mentioned the Depo Provera. I sent you another link, Thomas. I don't know if you got it, but you want to pop that one up? It says that it's linked to brain tumors. Have you seen that, Dr. Jolbrin?
Depo-Provera, yes, yes, because there are what are called progesterone receptors in the forebrain, and actually all of the progestin part of the birth control pills are linked to brain
Depot-Provera.
tumors because of receptors for progestins in the brain. I mean, all of these very crude synthetic drugs have been foisted on us because, oh, it makes you, it can let you have all kinds of fun and not worry about getting pregnant. So, and
And
they're
so
not
here's
even
one
totally
more.
reliable for that. What's
I, I,
that?
store, I store all these, and I need to know a better way to store these things, but I store my topics. And so here's another one from a legal network saying severe headaches after Depo-Provera shot. Don't brush it off. It may be linked to a serious condition. And apparently there's a class action lawsuit on that with possible financial compensation. So there's that one. You mentioned the HIV increased risk. I brought up the brain tumor risk. And then there's one more, hypothyroidism. It says depletes the body of minerals. Are you
Okay, yeah,
familiar?
I'm not all that familiar with that part of the literature, but I mean,
Okay.
just for the HIV reason, and because it's really unique among all the birth control formulations, Depo-Provera is unique in facilitating the transmission of HIV. And for that reason alone, with all the others that are available on the market, there's absolutely positively not a single reason why it should still be on the market in the US. But it
And so there,
is.
so the good question. The same reason we're having trouble with glyphosate in some of the agricultural products. You'll hear about that in my next product that we
Yes.
sell at the show. But for everybody out there, there's one more link. I'll put it on the Tamara Scott Show page, Facebook page, if we don't get it out, from Biohacking Bombshell, just talking about the 7 times increased long-acting hormonal contraception over the last 20 years. The IVF market went from 10 billion in 2010 to 31 billion in 2026, and went from 90,000 IVF cycles in early 2000s to 432,000 IVF cycles in 2023. That's from Biohacking Bombshell. And so, as you all know, I have my little tinfoil tiara. I would never wear a tinfoil hat, but I do have a tinfoil tiara that you, our viewers, sent to me. And I would just say to you, and I don't know what you think about this, but sometimes I wonder if they are doing these things on purpose. We know about the depopulation goals. We know about whether you want to hear or believe what Bill Gates says about his vaccines and the sterilization there. But is it so that they can make us less likely to be able to just procreate as God planned without having their permission through large financial investment in their clinics? And they can then deem who does, who doesn't. I don't know. Call it conspiracy. It's just something I wonder. We've got to go to break, and
Well,
you
it's
can
all,
comment
yes,
on that when we come back.
the
Oh, you
idea
said
that they want fewer of us, yes, the idea that they want fewer of us, that they want to stop us from procreating, that's there right on its face. This so-called zero population growth that changed its name, but I still get the publications sent to me by mistake every now and again. They haven't met their goal. They really want to depopulate the world.
Every
He's
catastrophe
What
we've
is it the
had.
president said recently when he pointed to the other side of the room and he gave a State of the Union address? These people are crazy. They are. They're actually suicidal for the whole species. They're
We
trying
got
to
to go to
strangle.
break. We'll be right back. Dr. Joel Bren.
Do you like drinking toxins that could cause cancer, inflammation, and all kinds of other autoimmune diseases? Of course you don't. Well, much of our water in America is full of toxins. That's a proven fact. Worldviewwater.net. Worldviewwater.net is your solution so that you can drink good, clean water. In fact, I give it to all my 3 fur babies, all my 3 dogs. I have one under my kitchen sink, one of these filters, as well as on my shower. Worldviewwater.net.
This is our new NutraSwish, Numi NutraSwish. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS. neumi.com/TTSS, one of the products we offer because you all have different preferences and respond differently to different items. So this is our lavender. It's for ladies anywhere along your journey. No hormones in it, but if you're taking a supplement, hormonal supplement, you might want to check with your doctor. The blue is for anyone over the age of 18. It has the glutathione, which is a antioxidant, helps with over 400 cellular functions, and it helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, one of those terms we learned after 2020, and it helps detox glyphosate. The good glutathione helps detox glyphosate. Glyphosate is found in ag chemicals or lawn chemicals, and some are very concerned about possible links to cancers, HPVs, and diabetes. But the blue bottle, the glutathione, helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, and glyphosate. Then there's the mango colored bottle you see on your screen. Numi Neuro helps with your mind, your memory, and your focus. Now, again, after 2020, we heard something about brain fog, a term we'd not heard before. Whether it's from a virus or a vaccine, many have found relief, a little help with Numi Neuro, the mango colored bottle. When used with the blue bottle, it is so positive that the American Brain Council wrote about it and it looked like an endorsement. Though we're told they don't write endorsements, it was simply a positive review of what they saw. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS, neumi.com/TTSS for the Tamara Scott Show. Why? Because we want you feeling your best. And when you use that TTSS link, you help us be our best. Dr. Joel Brend is my guest today. I had kind of set you up on another question right before we headed to break. Dr. Brend, we'll let you come back in wherever you like.
That glutathione has exactly the same glycine content as collagen. So
Really?
it does some of the same things because it's actually about 25% glycine by weight. As my book, The Glycine Miracle, you can read about it. You'll see it you're coming up under all these great products which have a certain common denominator. And all of them are very, very good for you as opposed to most of the garbage that we throw in our mouths anyway. So that's
I'm
good.
pleased to hear
Kudos to
that.
you on that one then.
Thank you. I'm pleased to hear that. Again, same friend. And I've never gotten into this type of thing before. But as you age, and as you said, the food is not quite what it used to be. When you're talking about the bone marrow, I'm thankful that I have a 35-year-old daughter who is on this. When she gets the meat from the locker locally, she wants the liver, she wants the organs, she wants the bones.
The
So
bones.
yep, I'm thankful she's right where you're saying she needs to be. So, and I'm probably healthier because of it. All right. So, what was the question I asked you right before we went off? I'd asked you about
Oh,
population. You already answered it.
yeah, whether population control was certainly a goal of all the various globalists that are pulling the strings, the real centers of power around the world. That's one of the things now that I think is being challenged by our current president. Uh,
Yes.
so it's a real it's kind of going to be a battle to the death. It's a this is a very strong. That's why they oppose him so strongly. It's not about personality. He is really upsetting their apple cart and trying to destroy their obviously plans to sort of take over things, and not in a very subtle way. Much of the face recognition software and all of that, which was developed for the Chinese communists that they use to control their populations, like the Uyghur population in Xinjiang, that they use, to keep that whole population in prison so that they can select the best specimens to have organ transplants and all of that kind of stuff. So we're living in that brave new world a lot more than you think, a lot more than people think, and so
And I would say the brave, BRAVE world is a little more grave, GRAVE.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. They want, these people. They started out with right at the time when I was in college, with this. I think it was in the late '60s, um, when Paul Ehrlich uh, published the population bomb and started zero population growth and so forth. And they've still been going strong. They have their organization under some different name now, instead of zero population growth, but that's still their goal. And if you read what they say, even now, even as the population of so many countries in the world and the whole world really is plummeting, and so many nations are now on a point of no return in terms of population decline, they're still saying, oh, there are too many people in the world. There's, going on to 8 billion people, and we're still not meeting our goal. They think that 500 million people is about all the world can actually take. And it's nonsense and it's madness. These people are crazy. So we have
And
to we have to combat them with the legitimate means that we have, in media and so on, and at the ballot box. And I would just say to everybody, as far as the ballot box goes, you have to vote. There's no such thing as an off-year election. An election is important, especially now, every one of them. So you can make your voice heard if you just go and vote. Vote when it's election day any year, vote. And if you don't know what you're voting on or what the issues are, it's your duty as a good citizen to find out who's running, what their platform is, what their background is, and what the issues are and what you're voting on, and then to actually go and vote, because otherwise we lose our republic, we lose our whole way of life, really. It's been very much in jeopardy lately, in case you haven't noticed.
yes. And one of the things I had for the end of the show was some photos from an event I did over the weekend, a forum for primary candidates for state legislator, statewide offices, including the gubernatorial, auditor, and then up to U.S. House and U.S. Senate. And I will say, if you don't go and learn, it is your irresponsibility and that neglect. What is it? Lincoln says, if you turn your back on the political fires, you shall suffer the blisters on your backside. But to also, I will say,
Did Lincoln say that?
I think he
That's
did.
funny. He had a
And
good
to
sense of humor, didn't he?
well, for the life that he had, yes, I think he did learn some real wise things there. But to all the voters as well, even those of you who think you're engaged, stop paying attention to what other people say as far as who's viable. You, the voter, decides who's viable. And two, vote for the person, not who's the best candidate. It's one thing to be a candidate, be out front and say a lot of things and make a lot of promises. Look at their principles, look at their record, not their rhetoric, and their character. That's something you can't change. So if they've been dishonest, you need to take that into account, especially when they're just running, let alone when the office is at stake. So you need to find people you think are solid, grounded, and
Right.
founded in what they believe. It's not about personality. It's not about polished speakers. That doesn't equal principled politicians or leaders.
Right, and
And so
that's not easy to tell, but just remember the political process by its nature selects for the very best liars. Think about it. The best liars rise to the top of the political tickets, especially on the left. And that tends to be who gets elected for that
And even
reason. So that you need to be more vigilant for that reason.
absolutely, because the media is a little more tough on the right. The mainstream media might be more scrutinizing, but some of our friends in the media aren't so much. And so you don't put a politician on a pedestal. We are all to be held accountable to the Constitution and to our biblical Judeo foundations. So there you
Yes,
go.
and it's, that is not emphasized enough. And I have to say, it's a continuing disappointment in a way that people do not appreciate the foundations of this country in a truly faith-based way. And that's what I would say is this. You can actually find it in the Gospels, in Matthew, in Mark, and in Luke. There are three versions of the same story where I think it's in Mark 10:42, for example, where because the mother, James and John, two of the disciples, their mother comes and asks Jesus, well, maybe you can put my one son on your left hand and my other son on your right hand in this kingdom of heaven of yours. And he says, you don't know what you're asking. And then meanwhile, all of the other disciples, they start getting upset about it. Like, who's she to come and ask? Who are they? They start jockeying for position. Who's the chief disciple? Who's the second chief disciple? And all of that. Jesus gathered them all together and he says, those who are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But so it shall not be among you, that whosoever among you shall be great shall be your servant, and whosoever shall be the chiefest shall be the minister, the servant to all. In other words, America. That's what makes America so great because it is founded. The system of governance that we adopted in America is the same system of governance that Jesus ordained for his own merry band of disciples. And that is, he turned everything upside down in the otherwise monarchical world of government and made it so that the government serves the people instead of the other way around. That's why America is so free. That's why it's been so prosperous and so strong, and still to this day is the strongest and best and freest nation on the face of the earth. It's because it was set up the way Jesus set up his governance of his group of disciples.
Yeah.
And somehow that's why it's really a Christian nation. It's not because so many percent of the people are Christian by tradition or they go to church or none of those things. The reason is because it was set up that way. This country modeled the system that Jesus Christ set up for the governance of all.
The Declaration
Government
of
serves
Independence.
the people.
The Declaration of Independence is the essence of 2 Corinthians 3:17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. That's the declaration, that's the essence of our declaration, our founding document. And our founding fathers, as you say, gave us free will. So that just like God gave us free will, they gave us free will. You have the right to believe what you want or not believe and to express that however you so choose. But you'll pay the consequences for that as well. But I so appreciate what you're saying. We've got to go to our next break. I was going to let you go because I know you're so busy. Do you want to hang around for another 10
Oh,
minutes?
sure. Yeah, you were talking about an hour or so. That's fine.
Okay,
That's
excellent.
all.
I'm so glad to have
I'm
reconnected.
retired, remember?
You came out of retirement because you're going to go now onto the media circuit, getting some truth out there. That would be great. Starting with the Tamara Scott Show. I like that. All right, we'll be right back after these messages. Dr. Joel Brand.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but It's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
And what would have been, I think, Good Friday, Politico has an article, Thomas. I think I just sent you that link during the show. And I think Dr. Joel Brin mentioned that Trump is going another direction, but says the Trump administration on Friday, and that would be, this was April 3rd, took the first step toward reviving and expanding the conservative overhaul of Title X family planning, and happened the first time Trump was president. Changes that previously led to the exodus of reproductive health providers and a steep drop in the number of patients served. Well, that is political, makes it sound just terrible, but what it was, I mean, if you see the headline that Trump puts with it is, why don't we try conception, not contraception? Dr. Joel Brind, your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. That's the kind of overhaul that's needed, and that we're all on the life side of the aisle striving for. There are some, the administration is, especially with the FDA and the abortion pill and so on, they're not really moving very quickly in the direction that we would hope. But we're hoping that at least we are supporting the people, the Trump administration, who are, on the right side, and we hope and pray that good judgment will prevail. At least we have reason to do that, and to hope that our entreaties will be answered by that group, because the other side is really beyond the pale. I mean, they won't listen at all.
Yes, because they're not about preventing unwanted pregnancy. They're about ending unwanted pregnancy. And I was listening to radio. I don't even know which channel or Sirius or whatever it was. They were talking about a lower number of unwed pregnancies. And well, right away, I thought, likely because we now have the abortion pill. And I'm holding up one of the papers here that from Jamie Bryan Hall, Ryan T. Anderson. The abortion pill harms women. Insurance data reveals 1 in 10 patients experiences serious adverse events. We've talked about this on our show. Do you want to mention this?
Sure. Well, serious adverse events is it's an interesting way to define it, because when they were first testing the pill, the abortion pill, that is, and I saw I was working on studying this back then, because I am basically a steroid biochemist, and all these things are steroids derived from the natural sex steroid hormones, but these are synthetic steroids. And when they tested it originally to show that it was, quote, safe and effective, they said that in the list of side effects, one of the key side effect was heavy uterine bleeding was a side effect. And the number of women who took the pill who experienced heavy uterine bleeding was 100%. So I guess to make it only 10%, you have to lose about a quart of blood instead of merely a pint or something like that. It's how they're going to define what's a serious adverse event. This stuff is really bad. And it's designed, I mean, it's all part of the mass murder of the most innocent when you get to after conception happens. But in terms of preventing conception or preventing the pregnancy from going to term, whatever they want, whatever sterile terms they want to use it for, they'll take it any way they can get it. What do you think homosexuality, transgenderism? When somebody's transgender, quote unquote, as if that could actually be done, what do you think happens? Number one, they're sterile. So this is the way they get us to sterilize our kids, sterilize ourselves, make it so that you can't even become pregnant if you want to. Right? So and then it's more business for they're doing such a good job, fertility clinics. Oh yes, they're doing such a wonderful job for all these couples who can't conceive. Well, why can't they conceive in the first place? Because of all the stuff that's been done to us as a society, as a people, as consumers of everything. This is, supposed to make them like the good guys then, because now they're helping to well, I guess, they are in a sense, but it really goes against their original agenda. Their agenda is to basically keep down the number of people on the planet what do the leftists always say? Like rules for radicals, Saul Alinsky, the communists, they always say, whatever
Right?
they want to do, they get their way by any means necessary. So they want to reduce the population of the world by any means necessary. No better
Yes.
way to do it than to make sure everybody sterilizes themselves, their kids, and then kills any children that come into the world anyway.
It doesn't just end there. We saw in 2020, if there are casualties, at first I thought if these folks have an agenda and there are casualties, are they okay with that? And then I realized that's their goal. That's their
Yes,
goal is depleting the
right,
population. And so if you didn't
right,
see, and then they, as you said, they haven't lowered their numbers since 2020. Massive numbers lost there in the scandemic, pandemic, however you want to say it. And then
right.
the catastrophe we have around the globe, they haven't changed their numbers. Oh, so I've just looked up while we're talking. Athaliah, the one in the Old Testament, killed her own family. She killed her own children and grandchildren. And I think she missed one who did become king. Remember, they hid him away and he became king. And we find that so very hard to believe. I mean, when I read it, I wrote about it for myself. How would you cause a woman to do that? How much more frightening is it that we have caused women to kill their own baby?
Yes,
Just,
that's it.
I don't think that they understand. I don't, if they held him in their arms once, I don't think that would ever be the case. That we've gotten to this point is so frightening, Dr. Joel Brand. We didn't even get to the combination or the correlation between breast cancer and
Well, yeah, but abortion, yeah, abortion does increase a woman's risk of getting breast cancer later in life. The data have been convincing now for decades, but the cover-up has been put out there and enforced with great
so
tenacity by
so we'll put
by
that.
government agencies and voluntary agencies. Think National Cancer Institute, American Cancer Society. These people are responsible for causing more cancer than they've been responsible for curing or preventing.
All right, that
That's
statement right
despicable.
there. We're going to want you to come back and talk about that statement right there. That these
Well, I better
organizations,
now. I better make that case, right?
ding ding ding.
I
We're going to want to
can.
hear more on that one. All right, and so we'll talk. Also, have you another time to talk about the abortion and breast cancer. I do need Thomas. I need to put one of the photos. I don't know if I have time to put all the photos up. I do need to put one, maybe two of them up of the past weekend. There's one of myself and a woman just standing, just the two of us in a photo. Can you find? There you go. I'm not going to give her name. When I walked into the room, this sweetheart caught me, thanked me for what we do here at the studio. Thomas, this is you too, because you make the show look so good. Thanked me, said she watches every day. If she can't see the show live, she finds it on the network and watches it later. Just so encouraging. So, Thomas, that is to you too. Thank you for the work that you do. And boy, did it just uplift my spirits and just was so helpful to hear that. Thomas, do you have the photo of our prayer call that is tomorrow night? The RNC prayer call will take place, and I will put that on the Tamara Scott Show Facebook page. Michael Cloud, Representative Michael Cloud, Congressman from Texas House District 27, the one who so kindly tutored the liberal female reverend who is trying to misuse Matthew 25, I believe it was, on charity and why Somali fraud was okay with our taxpayer dollars. And he just so kindly, not a clanging cymbal, kindly took her through that as to why and how God saw it. And so he's going to be on a prayer call tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Time. I'll get the numbers on the Tamara Scott Show Facebook page for you. Dr. Joel Bryn, thank you. Time flies. I remember now how much fun I had having you on the show with me almost 2 decades ago. 2 decades ago.
Yes, it was fun back then too. But I know a whole lot more, and much more, I would say, growing in trusting in the Lord for all knowledge among everything else that He provides. Because we're talking about God, He provides everything.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
creation, all that you see out here, it starts at the top. It doesn't start at the bottom with all these little atoms and molecules. You want to call me an expert on atoms and molecules? Okay, fine. I can tell you how trivial they are. They don't mean anything next to the Lord.
Right? Absolutely. And Jeremiah tells us, ask me and I'll tell you the things you do not know. Dr. Joel Bryn, Brind, has been my guest today. So delighted to have him back on air. We'll be right we'll tomorrow we've got guest host Nancy White, and then we may have a couple of encores as I'm in Washington D.C. in meetings this week, but we will be back with you. So keep watching the shows. The guests are always incredible. I am honored and humbled as we tell you, live boldly, love better, laugh bigger, be encouraged, and never be complacent.